What's up, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Gimme presented by Bet365. Why the Gimme? You guys know why. Because it's good. That's why. I'm Jason Sobel. He is Roberto Arguello. We're here to break down the Sony Open. But first, the Gimme is presented by Bet365, the world's favorite sportsbook brand. Sign up with promo code ACTION, ACTION, to get Bet365's exclusive sign-up offer in New Jersey, Colorado, and Ohio. Bet $1 on any game. Get $200 for free. Roberto, let's take a look at the top of the Bet365 leaderboard this week. No surprise, Tom Kim, everybody's new favorite, the shiny new toy in the world of professional golf. He is plus 1,000, 10 to 1, top of the book, and a lot of people are going after him as the favorite. Look, we just saw a favorite in Jon Rahm win 1 week ago, so maybe it makes some sense to that level. Sungjae Im, plus 1,200. We'll be talking about him on the show coming up. Jordan Spieth, not a whole lot of Jordan Spieth talk this week. He is plus 1,400. Hideki Matsuyama, the defending champion, still dealing with a little bit of a neck issue, he says. He is 18 to 1. Brian Harman, same number. Russell Henley, who coulda, shoulda, woulda beat Hideki last year, he is 20 to 1 this week. Roberto, let's get to our portfolios. And once again, I don't know why, but the bosses have given us $100 each. We got to go bet it. Woe is us. Where are you going with your favorite outright this week?
So normally I'd have two outrights, but uncharacteristically, I'm going with the favorite this week. I really don't like betting players at shorter than 15 to 1 to win golf tournaments. And last week, Jon Rahm, 6.5 to 1. Not a chance I was going to bet on him. Really bad beat with Colin Morikawa, unfortunately. This week, I'm going to the top of the board. I'm all aboard the Tom Kim, Tom the Tank Engine, and I bet him at 11 to 1, or he's available at 11 to 1. I got him at open at 12 to 1. I'm going to place 30 of my $100 on him this week. And I really like him for three reasons. First off, this isn't a long course. It's a course that prioritizes hitting the fairway over hitting it really far. And Tom Kim is about as accurate as they come off the tee on the tour. Second, his iron play, and specifically between 125 and 200 yards. He's first in weighted proximity in that distance. And also, he's a really strong putter, so he can bring it home with a big putting week if one of the other two elements of his game isn't in top form. And last week, he finished in a tie for fifth on a course that's really a bomber's course. And he didn't even putt that well. And he's about the shortest guy in that field. Unfortunately, that did take some of the value off the board for me this week. However, I still don't even know what this guy's upside is. And this course suits him as well as just about any course on tour. And additionally, the top names on the rest of the odds board aren't that impressive right now. Sungjae Im could very well win this tournament. I think he's a solid play if you want to play him instead of Tom Kim. Jordan Spieth is just a wild card. And like you said, Jason, nobody's really talking about him this week. And that's when I think he's at his most dangerous. And a few other guys like Corey Connors, who has high upside this week, also give me a little bit of a scare.
Yeah, so you mentioned my guy right there. And unlike yourself, I do have two outrights that I'm going to get to this week. Before I get to any names, this is a big trend week for me. Maybe more so than any other week on the PGA Tour. I've got two of them for you, and one of them is one that everyone's been talking about. Essentially, if you come over from Kapalua, you play in the Century Tournament of Champions, over the last handful of years, it is shown that you have a massive advantage over the rest of the field. Over the last 6 years, 15.9% of players have played in the Century Tournament of Champions, essentially less than 16% making up the entire Sony field. But that comprises 5 of the last 6 winners and 39% of the players who have finished in the top 10. Those players have finished 73% of the time making the cut and cashing a check that week. So there is a definitive advantage to having an extra week, just getting 4 rounds in and getting those competitive juices flowing, even though, as you mentioned, these are completely different golf courses. The other trend that I've looked at is ball striking. And so there are 70 players who have finished top 20 or ties over the last 3 years at this event. 69 of the 70 have finished in positive strokes gained tee to green. Essentially, what does that mean? It means if you bring your B game, if you got a little rust on the driver and the irons this week, you're not going to sniff the top 10, let alone even competing for the title this week. So I'm looking for guys who hit it well and guys who largely have played already last week. And right at the top of the list is Corey Connors, the guy that you mentioned there. I got him at plus 2,200 at Bet365. It's about time Corey Connors won for a second time. He is one of the better ball strikers on the PGA Tour. I was actually a little bit surprised because I've sort of pigeonholed him. Look, this isn't a bad thing to be pigeonholed as, but I pigeonholed him as a guy that is in that next tier of iron players right below the Morikawas, the JTs, and the Zalatoris. Actually, Corey Connors was better compared to the field average with a driver in his hands than the irons last season. That surprised me, but what it tells me is that he's a more complete player, I think, than we realize. He's been top 12 each of the last 3 years, the Sony Open. That helps as well. So I like Corey Connors. And my second play is just a play on upside. You and I talked about before the show started. You're not a big fan of Kurt Kitayama this week, but I'm a big fan of upside. Kitayama had 3 runner-up finishes and a third-place finish last year. His spike weeks are really good, meaning that ceiling is super high. The floor might be low, but look, when I'm playing it outright, I don't need him to finish in 17th place. I will take the high highs and the low lows. If he misses the cut, he misses the cut, and I lose my bet. But he's a guy that I think has a higher ceiling than most. So I've got $20 on Connors from the portfolio, 10 on Kitayama. And let's get to this golf course a little bit. Once again, Waialae Country Club is the host this week. 7,044 yards, a par 70. The first full field event of 2023. And I know because of that, the public's going to want to take some shots. The public hasn't had a chance to fire some lottery tickets for a couple of months now. And so I know a lot of people out there going 150 to 1, 200 to 1, 250 to 1. Yes, I want some of that. Let me pick a guy who's out of nowhere and can win this thing and make me some big time bankroll going into the year. It's a nice thought, but a little trepidation here. The last 6 winners have all been 60 to 1 or shorter. Now, 60 to 1 is a nice number, but it's not that big lottery ticket that I think a lot of people are looking for. All right, let's get into these player market bets, which they have at Bet365, Roberto. Essentially what they are, over-unders for final finishing position. We're going to buy one, we're going to sell one. Who are you buying?
First off, I'm going to start with the TCU Horned Frog, Tom Hoge, to finish 27th or better. And here's a guy who led the field last week at Kapalua in strokes gained approach. He gained over 2 strokes per round on approach, and no other player was better than 1.3 strokes gained on approach per round. So it was a really significant runaway leader in strokes gained on approach against an incredible field. Pretty much everybody who's who on the PGA Tour except for Rory McIlroy. I don't know that he's going to win this week. We know that he went to LA for the national championship game where he saw his Horned Frogs get absolutely run over by the Bulldogs. Hopefully he's bounced back from that. I don't know that he's going to win this week, but I think he's got a really high floor, and his irons have been on fire throughout the whole swing season in the fall. And now it looks like he's still got that form against a field like the one this week. I think he's well positioned to have a really high floor, and I like him to finish 27th or better at -120. Like you said, on Bet365. Who are you going with first?
So before I get to mine, I think a lot of people are going to try to find a narrative in Tom Hoge leaving Hawaii, coming back to the mainland, going to the game, having his team shellacked on Monday night. I just don't see the narrative. I don't know. Like maybe he's mad, so he's going to play better, or he's sad, so he's not going to play. He's a golfer. Golfers go and play golf. He's actually running hot right now. I like the Hoge play. I can see him stepping on the gas pedal a little this week. So my first guy, I'm going to buy Russell Henley, who's a guy that I talked about last week. Really like him for this event. It's one of his favorite golf courses. He's got a win, a runner-up finish, and 3 top 25s in his career. I'm looking at 25th or better, throwing $15 to my portfolio out. Again, -120. All of these bets are -120. Can't really juice it either way in your favor. But Russell Henley's a guy that shows up here year in, year out. Who are you going to sell, Roberto, this week?
Yeah, before I get to my sell, I like the Russell Henley pick. And we've mentioned that this tournament is one where course history seems to play a role. And Henley's got great course history, and he's awesome with the wedges. So I think he's got a really high floor as well. I like that play. For my first sell, I'm going to go with the aforementioned reigning champion here, Hideki Matsuyama, to finish 23rd or worse. There's going to be, I think, 144 players in the field this week, and it's really tough to beat 120 guys on the PGA Tour when you don't have your best stuff. And right now, it's pretty clear that Hideki Matsuyama, unfortunately, doesn't have his best stuff, which is really a bummer because he is one of the most spectacular players on the tour. I think last year when he hit that 3-wood on the playoff hole to 2 feet, it was one of the like 2 or 3 closest shots from 265 to 270 yards in the last 10,000 on the PGA Tour from that range, which is just absurd. Hopefully we get to see him in that form eventually, but last week he lost strokes off the tee and on approach in all 4 rounds at Kapalua, and uncharacteristically was very strong on the greens. We know his short game is really strong, but the putting specifically was uncharacteristically strong last week, and I'm going to use that to kind of sell high on him. I think a lot of people overvalue him this week because of the course history and because he played well on the greens last week. But even with the course history, looking back farther than last year, he didn't have a top 10 in 8 other appearances before last season, and he's only gained strokes on the greens 2 out of 9 total times at this tournament. So overall, I think fading Matsuyama is one of my strongest plays of the week.
Yeah, and if you listen to him, as I mentioned earlier, he does not sound like he's 100% right now. Dealt with those neck injuries throughout last year, so I think that's still bothering him. I think that's a smart play. My sell is going to be Billy Horschel. He was the only player out of 39 to post an over par score in the first round last week. Never really got it going. This week, he was in the field, then said he was out of the field, then stayed in the field. He's gone back and forth. Doesn't sound like he's confident in much right now. I can't imagine that he's really excited about going out there and trying to figure something out on the golf course this week. I've got him 34th or worse, just throwing $5 on it, but I'm going to fade Billy Ho for now. I'll get back. Sorry, Billy. I know you're watching. I'll get back to you later in the year, but not right now. All right, let's take a look at the market info this week. And no surprise once again that everyone's chasing the youngster, the 20-year-old Tom Kim. Highest ticket percentage, Tom Kim, number 1, followed by Jordan Spieth, Hideki Matsuyama. Maybe a little surprising there. Highest handle, Tom Kim once again. Russell Henley, Jordan Spieth. Biggest liabilities in the market. Hey, what do you know? It's Tom Kim, then Jordan Spieth, and Russell Henley. All right, let's get to our props and matchups. Roberto, I know you got 3 of them. What's your first prop that you like this week?
Get a little bit more aggressive on my props this week, and I'm trying to play for upside with guys whom, had I not bet Tom Kim to win outright, these are guys I might have sprinkled to have an outright this week. First, I'm going to go with Mark Hubbard. And I really like him because of his strong approach play. Once again, the key metrics are between 125 and 200 yards. And in these 3 buckets between 125, 150, 150, 175, and 175 to 200, he ranked in the top 33 in each one of those 3 last year in proximity to the hole on tour. So he should be in a position to hit the ball well this week. And although he doesn't have the strongest course history out here, he is a solid putter. He's about average or better than average around the green as well. He's just not very long off the tee, and this is a course where you don't need to be long off the tee. He's a very accurate driver of the ball, and we've seen that in the 7 times where he has gained over, I think, 0.5 strokes gained on approach on tour in the last about 8 months. He has gained over a half a stroke on the greens per round 5 out of those 7 times. So he tends to run hot with the putter and on approach. I don't know if that's necessarily indicative of what's going to happen going forward, because I think that's kind of unsustainable. But nonetheless, I think he's worth a high upside play this week. And at top 10 at 12-1, it was worth a sprinkle. I don't know that he can win the tournament, but I think he can put together a good round or 2 to really get in contention and then hang around for a top 10.
All right, so my first one, I talked about ceilings and floors earlier in relation to Kurt Kitayama. He's a guy, high ceiling, maybe a low floor. Now I'm going to go to Maverick McNeely, who his ceiling is still in question. I'm not sure how high his ceiling is, but he's got one of the higher floors of anybody sort of at his level of player, his status level right now. Maverick McNeely finished the top 20 in 4 of his last 5 starts of 2022. And since the beginning of 2021, he's finished in the top 20 a remarkable 36% of the time, 18 of 50 starts. That's really good for a young player. I look at him as sort of this generation's Charles Howell III. He just goes out there and cashes a nice big check every single week. My favorite play on the board this week, a Mav McNeely top 20 plus 175. I'm taking 30% of my portfolio and putting it on that this week.
Love to see you supporting the Stanford Cardinal out here, Jason. Not going to have anything bad to say about Matt McNeely. Hopefully it pulls through for you. My next one, I'm going to go with Russell Knox for a top 20 at plus 400. You can also, if this isn't available to you, you can look for him for top 30 or top 40 as well. I think there's value on those plays as well at plus money. And once again, the ball striking from 125 to 200 yards is key for me. He finished in the top 58 in approach proximity from 125 to 150, 150, 175, and 175 to 200 last year. And I don't think I said this yet today, but 66.1% of approach shots last year at the Sony Open came from 125 to 200 yards. So it will be important to cash in from those distances. And also, I like the course history for him here. A couple of my other plays don't have super strong course history, or like Tom Kim, don't have any course history. But in his last 6 starts at Wiley for Russell Knox, he's gained strokes on approach all 6 times, and he's actually done so in 10 of 11 starts. And in those last 6 starts, he's got 3 top 11 finishes, and those coincidentally were the 3 times out of those 6 where he gained strokes on the greens. So if he gets a good, if he rolls it well this week, I think he's got a chance to be in that top 20 to 40 range, and he's worth a play for me. And if you can't get him at 400, at plus 400 to top 20, I think there's value in other markets as well, or maybe even in a head-to-head.
Spoke with Mark Rolfing a little bit earlier. He's, of course, the king of Hawaii golf. And Rolf told me it's going to be a quote unquote weird win this week. Essentially, it's going to be easterly winds. They've had it the last couple of years, but before that, that didn't really occur this time of year. And so, in any case, Russell Knox is a guy that knows how to deal with the wind. He's a very good wind player. So I like that play. All right. You're about to fade one of my guys. So I'm going to catch you off at the pass, and I'm going to fade one of your guys before you have a chance to do it. I am playing in a matchup. Sanjay Im, and again, some local knowledge on this. Rolfing told me Sanjay spent the Christmas holiday at Wiley in Honolulu playing a lot of golf. I'm taking him at even money in a matchup over your guy, Tom Kim. It takes some experience at Wiley. Very few players over the years have been able to show up and play well right away on this golf course. I'm taking Sanjay, even though he has never played great, but he's played it 4 times. I think just that experience alone is going to be enough to put him over the tournament favorite. I'll throw $15 on that matchup. And now you can fade me right back.
All right. Well, coming right back at you, I'm going to go Kurt Kitayama 43rd or worse at minus 120 for Bet365. Like you said, he's a high floor, he's a low ceiling, or sorry, he is a high ceiling, low floor player. And in his last 25 measured rounds with data on the PGA Tour, or actually not necessarily on the PGA Tour, but last 25 tournaments with data, he has been above average on driving accuracy just 5 times. However, 2 of those 5 times, he finished 3rd or better. So there's that upside that you're looking for, which is why I don't hate your play, even though I am betting against Kurt Kitayama. It's just because the floor is low. And on a course where the priority off the tee is driving accuracy, he's a guy who should struggle this week. And he also doesn't have a ton of course history, only played once, which was last year, and he missed the cut. So I like this one quite a bit as well for 43rd or worse. And hopefully he doesn't finish anywhere between 2nd or 43rd.
There you go. Just so you know, our mutual friend, Andre Gonzalez, reportedly played golf with Kitayama in the Vegas area recently and say he's hitting it better than he ever has off the tee. I'm just saying.
All right.
I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. What does Dre know, though? He doesn't know that well. All right, let's get to our first round leader bets. The last 5 years at Wiley, you better go super low. 62.4 has been the average score of the first round leader. So who you got that's going to go super low this week?
Well, I don't know that my first round leader pick has seen Dr. Dre lately and gotten his game improved that way, but I'm going to go with Mark Hubbard again, double dipping with him on first round leader, only going $2 here. I don't have a high level of confidence, but I wanted to bet someone at a longer shot. I know he was available around 130, 150 to 1 in this market before, so he's been steamed down to 90 to 1. But like I said, high upside guy. He's a good putter. He's good around the green. So even if he has a couple holes where he doesn't have his best stuff, he can save par and then go super low on the other holes. Don't think he's a guy who's going to win the tournament, but I think he could go low and catch some people off guard on Thursday. How about you, Jason? Who are you backing on Thursday?
I will go with the guy who's been there and done that. Back in 2019, Adam Svensson started with a 61 on this golf course. Last year, a 64, the 62.5 opening round scoring average. That's pretty good. He is also a guy that played last week, didn't play his best golf last week, but the numbers weren't terrible. I'm certainly not scared off. He plays much better at YLI than I think he did at Kapalua last week. All right, time for our one and done picks. Last week, not so great. This week, gonna be better. Roberto, where are you going with yours?
Wait, didn't you have John Rahm last week?
Yeah, didn't you also? Or did you have Mark out?
No, I had Adam Scott, which
I had Justin Thomas. Yeah, nobody had John.
Oh, okay. I thought you had John Rahm.
No, I appreciate the sentiment, though. I'll
I thought you did.
retroactively take him if you'd like me to.
You could have fooled me. But yeah, lost Adam Scott last week. Didn't work out, but he got us a couple cool $200,000. So high floor last week. Couldn't do too wrong. This week, I'm going with Tom Kim, going to the top of the board, taking advantage of one of the weaker fields relatively when he is in incredible form. I don't think his strokes gained approach numbers are going to stay as hot as they are for the whole season. So I'm going to try to strike while the iron is hot, and hopefully he comes through and double dips for me here. Jason, who you got?
I think it's worth a little game theory right here. And if you're in a one and done, I'm in a few where there's 30 teams. I'm in a few where there's 1,000 teams. I think it's worth trying to figure out, like, hey, do I only have to beat a few people, or do I have to beat a whole lot of people? Considering this one is just me and you, I only got to beat you. I don't have to necessarily find a guy who's 80-1 and try to get a winner that maybe nobody else has. So I'm going to play my favorite outright, just like you are. I'm going to go with Corey Connors this week, again, for all the reasons that I said earlier in the show. 3 straight top 12 finishes at this event. I can't imagine he plays poorly this week. All right, some quick recaps of our portfolios. Roberto, you've got Tom Kim outright. You're buying Tom Hoagie, selling Hideki Matsuyama. Props on Hubbard, Knox, Kitayama, and a first-round leader bet on Hubbard as well. I've got Connors and Kitayama outright, buying Henley, selling Horschel. Props on Mav McNeely, matchup on Sungjae Im over Kim, and Adam Svensson, first-round leader. Before we go, one very quick non-golf bet you're taking this week.
I actually took it last week at 40-1, but there's still value. I bet it down to 15-1. The Kansas State Wildcats to make the Final Four in college basketball.
Ooh, interesting. I'm going to go Jaguars money line over the Los Angeles Chargers. Duval. That's right. Remember, Green Dot Daily, every day, noon Eastern time on your favorite Action Network platform. Thanks to everybody out there for watching this episode of The Gimme, presented by Bet365. Remember, you can find all of our content on actionnetwork.com and the Action Network app. Check that out and make sure to log your bets there every single day. For Roberto Arguello, I'm Jason Sobel. Good luck with all your bets for this week's Sony Open. Here's hoping you hit the green.